Algebra 2, Chapter 10.1, exercises 13 through 21. Here we're going to continue the exercises on adding or subtracting expressions, rational expressions. And the instructions earlier for this set were to add or subtract given expressions that find each result, and noting the combined excluded values. And we went through problem 12 in the last video running up to this one. So far, we can find out our excluded values. Where I'm going to start out with is by setting our denominator not equal to 0. So if we set the denominator of our first fraction, x squared minus 2, to not equal to 0, we can use by the difference of squares, factor this out to be the square root of x squared is x. And then we have plus minus, and the square root of 2 is square root of 2. Square root of 2, there we go. And so that cannot be equal to 0. So x cannot be equal to, solving for both of these binomial factors, cannot be equal to plus or minus the square root of 2. And then what we're going to see here is something I'm going to show you. We have x squared minus 2, I'm just rewriting the fraction here, over x squared minus x to the fourth. X to the fourth power minus 2 over x squared minus 2. And we're going to add. Now, what I'm going to do is to get our common denominator in the second fraction, I'm going to factor out a negative sign from each term in our denominator. So we're going to have negative x squared minus 2. And then we can rewrite this fraction again. We have x to the fourth minus 2 over x squared minus 2. And then we're going to have this, we'll put this negative sign up top. So we have plus negative 2 over x squared minus 2. So now we have a common denominator. So I'm going to continue to work down below. Eventually I'm going to work to the right, but what we have is we have x to the fourth power minus 2. And since we have a common denominator of now x squared minus 2, we can now put these two fractions together. And now working to the right, and I'm just going to put an equal sign there. Not only equivalent, they are equal. So we have x to the fourth power minus 4 over x squared minus 2. Now we can use factoring using the difference of squares. This x to the fourth minus 4 can be written as different squares of the square root of x to the fourth power is x squared. And then we have plus or minus square root of 4 is 2. And so now we have the denominator, we retain our x squared minus 2. And x squared minus 2 over x squared minus 2 cancel, equal 1. So what we have left is, continue with the right, we have just left x squared plus 2. So that is going to be our answer, significant simplification, and our exclusion of excluded values of x. X cannot equal square root of 2 or negative square root of 2. Let's go on to our next other problem, 15. Okay, we have 3 over x squared minus 4. And I'm going to just rewrite that as by factoring. And I hope you can see by this in a prior video lesson, a lot of factoring can help you out a lot. So I'm going to factor this denominator using the difference of squares. And so we're going to have x minus 2, x plus 2. Hope you can see that. Square root of x squared is x, plus or minus square root of 4 is 2. And then we're going to have minus x plus 5 over x plus 2. Now, can you see what we can do to get a common denominator between these two fractions separated by the minus sign? Yes, we can multiply by x minus 2 over x minus 2. And so now I'm going to parenthesize everything on top here. So this is what we have here. We are going to have a common denominator of 20x minus 2 times 20x plus 2. And just working below, I'm going to write all these under the common denominator, 20x minus 2, x plus 2, and then we have 3 minus the product of 20x plus 5 times 20x minus 2. And so we have 3 minus, and when we multiply all these together, we can just do a little sidebar on the right if we want to. Multiplying together two linear binomials shouldn't be too bad, but we have x plus 5, x minus 2, we have x squared, 5x, negative 2x, and then we have negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. So we're going to have minus, put all this in parentheses here. We have x squared, and then we have 5x minus 2x, which is going to be plus 3x. And then we're going to have minus 10. And then all that over x minus 2 times 20x plus 2. Now, one thing I forgot to do that I've done at the beginning of problems earlier is our excluded values. Our x cannot equal 1 or negative 1. So I'm going to put x cannot equal plus or minus, I said 1, plus or minus 2. Okay, let's just go ahead and get that straightened out. Okay, x cannot equal plus or minus 2. Okay, next. What we're going to have is 3 minus negative 10, it's going to be 13. And we're going to have minus x squared and minus 3x over quantity x plus minus 2, quantity x plus 2. And as a final step, I'm going to rewrite our numerator in standard form. We have negative x squared minus 3x plus 13 over quantity x minus 2x times quantity x plus 2. And that's going to be it. So looking for factoring to get you off on a good start on these. And there's our excluded values. Next, let's go on to our other problem 17. Here we have 3 fractions we're being asked to add and subtract. When we look for a common denominator, we see this x plus 2, we see this x squared minus 4. And let me just go ahead and see if I can get all these similarly situated. So this x minus 2, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to make it a little tighter just to leave more room. So x minus 2 over x plus 2. And we have plus 1 over, and we're going to use a difference of squares to factor out in this numerator here, x minus 2, that's going to be x plus 2. Okay, and then on this last one, we're going to subtract out, we're going to have x plus 2. And what I'm going to do is factor out a negative sign here. So I'm going to put negative x minus 2. And what that's going to do, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this in parentheses. And actually, this minus minus will cancel each other. And we're going to get our common denominator. I'm going to put this right. Common denominator is going to be equal to this thing right here. X minus 2, x plus 2. And already we should see that x cannot equal. So our excluded values from x are going to be, as before, plus or minus 2. Okay, so now let's fix this. Our first one, we're going to say x minus 2 over x plus 2. But to go ahead and work with our common denominator, we're going to have to multiply this by quantity x minus 2 over x minus 2. And so there we have, that's our first fraction the common denominator setup. Our second one, we'll put plus 1 over quantity x plus 2, x minus 2. And then our last one, we're going to, these negative signs are going to cancel each other. We're going to put plus, we're going to have x plus 2 over x minus 2. But then we're going to multiply this together to get our common denominator of quantity x plus 2, x plus 2. And so now we have each of these fractions formally separated by plus or minus signs. Now they're all plus signs. We have a common denominator for everything. So what we have is, in the numerator, we have, well, I'll just write this all out. We have equals like x minus 2, x minus 2, plus 1, plus quantity x plus 2, quantity x plus 2. And all this over our common denominator of x plus 2, x minus 2. Okay, so I'm just working all these out, and I'm going to just, we're going to have x squared, and we're going to have minus 2x, that's going to be minus 4x. And then we're going to have plus 4. We're going to have plus 1. And now multiplying these quantity x plus 2 to quantity x plus 2, we're going to have plus x squared plus 4x plus 4, and all over our common denominator, quantity x plus 2, that's quantity x minus 2. And now the last one below, I think we're going to be able to cancel everything out, or a couple things out. We're going to have minus 4x cancels 4x. So we're going to have x squared. Actually, we have 2x squared, right? The 2x squared. And we're going to have 4 plus 1 plus 4, 2x squared plus 9, all over quantity x plus 2, x minus 2. Get this erased a little more legibly situated. Okay, there we go. So, okay, beautiful. A lot of factoring involved, finding common denominators. Next on the problem is 19. And here we have a word problem. Company has two factories, factory A and factory B. The cost per item proves Q items in factory A is 200 plus 13Q over Q. The cost per item proves Q items in factory B is 300 plus 25Q over 2Q. Find the expression for some of these costs per item. So really, and then we have an instruction to divide this expression by 2 to find the expression for the average cost per item to produce Q items in each factory. So anyway, what we have here is we have two fractions that we're going to be adding together. Now, how is this a real world problem? Maybe not, but there could be similar ones. To add these together, we get 300 plus 25Q over 2Q. So basically, our common denominator we want to be 2Q, right? I'll put here common denominator is going to be equal to 2 cubed. So to do that, we're going to take this first fraction and multiply it by, I'm just going to write here 200 plus 13 cubed over q. We're going to multiply this whole fraction here, this first fraction, by 2 over 2. And then we're going to add 300 plus 25 cubed over 2 cubed. So now what we're going to do is distribute here this 2 to both 200 and 13 cubed. So what we're going to get is 400 plus 26 cubed. And then we're going to have plus 300 plus 25 cubed. And that's all going to be over 2 cubed. And I'm going to just work to the right here. We're going to have 26 cubed plus 25 cubed. That's going to be 51 cubed. And then 300 plus 400 is going to be 700. So we have 51 cubed plus 700 over 2 cubed. And then the very last thing it asks for here is then divide this expression by 2 to find an expression for the average cost per item produced Q items in each factory. Well, to do that, we just are going to multiply our denominator by 2. So our denominator of 2q times 2 is going to be equal to 4q. So our final answer is going to be 51q plus 700 divided by 4q. And that, my friends, ladies and gentlemen of Algebra 2, is our answer. Next, the last one we're going to do in this set is 21. Another word problem: the junior and senior classes of a high school are cleaning up a beach. Each class has pledged to clean 1,600 meters of shoreline. The junior class has 12 more students than the senior class. Let S represent the number of students in the senior class. So by simplified expression in terms of S, it represents the difference between the number of meters shoreline senior must clean the number of meters each junior must clean. So let's look at this. Junior class, it says S represents the senior class. So S is going to be equal to 12. Senior class has 12 more units. S represents 12 more. So junior equals S plus 12, right? And seniors, we don't know what it is. Well, seniors equal S, right? Equals S. Juniors equal S plus 12. And it says the difference between the number of meters in each shoreline each senior must clean. So that's going to be 1,600 over S. And the difference is a subtraction sign, minus 1,600 over S plus 12. Okay, right, it says right, so we've written the expression. Now simplify. So our common denominator is going to be, I'm just going to write this in the right, common denominator is going to be equal to S times quantity S plus 12, which are the juniors times the seniors. So let's just go ahead and simplify this fraction. So we're going to have the first one, 1600. We have 1600 over S. And to create a common denominator, we have to multiply by S plus 12 over S plus 12. And for our second fraction, we have 1600 over S plus 12. And what do we have to do to get our common denominator? Multiply by S over S. So now we have our common denominator all in place. So looking below, I'm just going to put our common denominator, S times quantity S plus 12. And the numerator, we have 1600S. And then we have 12 times 1600. Going to be, I think, let me just write this here. I think I know what it is. I think it's going to be 19,200. So we got 0, 0, and then we have 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 1 is 1. Plus 1 is 3. 1 times 1600. So 1600. Yeah, so we get 19,200. So we have plus 19,200. And then we have minus 1600S. And so what is going to happen here, my friends? 1600S minus 1600S. What are we left with? 19,200 over quantity S, or S times quantity S plus 12. And that. And what are the units here? Number of meters will be meters. So this will be our answer, number 21. I hope this has been helpful to you. Good luck, and thanks for viewing.